Okay, so yeah, my name is Christopher. This is Moritz, and this is more of a basic talk about React. So thank you for having this talk before, because now you are really deep into the Flux implementation, and this is more of a basic talk about how to structure a React app. So yeah, let's start.
So I will give you a little context who we are. Normally we do data visual.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Source detected.
Okay.
And
Okay.
So normally we do data visualizations, news app. Maybe one of you know the data visualizations of the Berliner Morgenpost. That's our main client. So yeah, normally we do like these three stuff, leaflet stuff, quick and dirty, hacky stuff. And we thought it would be nice to have a little side project, and we wanted to try React. Like half a year ago, we did this one. Okay, the resolution is not that cool. Okay, so this is a kind of collection of data journalism projects, and we thought it's a nice use case to use React for it. So, like all projects published from German newspapers, and we made them filterable, so you can say, okay, show me all the map projects, for example. So yeah, for us it was a really cool use case to try a new library. So it's non-commercial. It's all on GitHub, the front end as well as the back end. So if anyone is interested in the source, you can check it out, and the whole presentation depends on this project. So our examples depend on this project. And today we want to share our experience, what we learned by using React in our first project. So the main thing we learned was we really have to resync everything. Like all the MVC stuff we learned from other frameworks or libraries like Backbone or Angular, which are very influenced by jQuery. So yeah, this was like our main learning.
Yeah. Okay, so the main thing that React does is it gives us components. So these are usable and composable, and I will just show you how we use components in this application. So this is one component, is the preview list component, which is a very large component in this application. So yeah, this contains other components, obviously. And another component is the preview component. So, yeah, right. This is a smaller one. And then these are other smaller parts of the application. So you can really, with React, we found out that we can really structure our app like having very tiny parts and split it into components, which is very useful. And yeah, this is basically how we structured this app.
It's a bit simplified. It's not that easy, but I think for presentation purposes, it's working good.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, let's have a look at how these components look like. And basically, it's just JSX files, which is a bit extended version of JavaScript. And yeah, if you see it for the first time, it looks a bit weird maybe, but it's quite cool actually. And this is a component, is a preview component, which we showed before. And as you can see, it requires other components that will be rendered into this component. And it passes some options, some properties from itself to these other components. So you can really see that it's loosely coupled, and you have tiny parts of your application requiring each other and rendering accordingly. So this is also a bit simplified, But in the end, the cool thing is that this JSX file renders to plain JavaScript, and you can run it, yeah, everywhere. Sorry. Ah, okay. So I hope it's possible.
Okay, so this is a simplified version of our preview component.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. Yeah. Maybe if you see it for the first time, you would think, is that separation of concerns? Because it looks a bit weird. We have markup there, or some kind of markup, and some kind of presentation layer in the logic of the application. So this
is always an argument you hear from your colleagues when you show them React and they don't know it. So they say, yeah, that is not separation of concerns, because you have to separate logic and presentation and HTML as JavaScript. But if you think in a React way, the concerns of your application are more the components, so the smallest parts of your UI that have very different like use cases or different functions in your application. So that are your concerns you care about, and you want to separate them. So it's yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, so let's look a bit deeper into the components. So basically there are two types of components. There are stateful and stateless. And they look some kind of, is it possible to see it in the back? Yay! English people?
I want to make it simply because I don't know how.
Is that okay? Otherwise, you have to sit here.
Yeah. Yeah. It also it doesn't go any bigger.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, as I said, we have stateful and stateless components, and this is quite important to separate this. And we would, yeah, you can see this short example, like. The stateful component, obviously, it has a state, so you can see this function get initial state, and we'll have some basic state. It has a basic state. So, and it requires another component, which is headline in this case, in this example. And what it does, it passes one part of its state to the headline component, which is stateless. And this only has properties and will render the stuff that it gets from its parent component. So the output of this is then only, yeah, this is what you see here.
So yeah, the stateful component has an current state which can change over time, and the stateless components have their properties, and if they are rendered, they are like that, and you have to render them again to change them.
Okay, so this is another example for showing that it is good to have only one stateful component or few stateful components, and they can have many stateless components as children, and only the stateful component changes the state, obviously, and passes all the properties to the stateless components, which we render accordingly, which is very cheap in React. Yeah, this is another thing. The learnings that we had from this app that we did is that it's good to have as few as possible stateful components and to handle the state in a central place. We will come back to that now. So yeah.
Okay. So what about communication? As you maybe saw in the beginning, we used some filters to filter the preview list, and obviously these components are not connected with a children-parent relation, but they are separate. So how can separate components communicate? And as we heard from Thiago, it's all about flux. So we won't get too deep. Oh, this is zooming.
Yeah.
Zoomed up and down.
Call it art.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, so it's problem.
Yeah.
Problem.
Cool. How do you reset it?
Like 0?
Yeah, it should be 0.
But this is really no. Yeah, I think it's problem. So, yeah, that's problem.
So what you should see here is that there are actually components, actions, and stores, and the components trigger actions which change some data in stores, or the store is listening, as Thiago said before. The store is listening to the actions, and store triggers a new state in the components. That's what it does. And what this should look like.
I think we can skip these.
You have seen this before? We expected to do the first presentation, so I would expect from here to do the first presentation.
Yeah. So yeah, how can we structure an app? So we think it's a good idea if your app getting bigger to create own folders for your components, as you see here. So maybe you can like cluster your components and make own folders for your components, and also for your actions, for your stores, and whatever you do with.
Yeah, you can see also that we have separated it. Like we have the components have many folders, like according to the UI of our application, like previous menu, filters, blah. And also we have some folders for the Flux implementation. So we have stores and actions also as folders. So yeah, that's just the structure we showed you.
So yeah, how can we bundle all of these things together so that we can use it? So technologies that we choose were webpack, Babel, and gulp. Webpack acts as a module loader, so you can load your JavaScript modules, your components. You can also, load files and like CSS files, images, JSON files, and you can create chunks. So you can split up your JavaScript code in different parts that only get loaded if you need them. So Webpack can do a lot of more things, but right now we are only using these features. But as you see here in our pipeline, we still use gulp, but we want to replace it with Webpack because you can actually do all the things we are doing with gulp right now. So Babel, maybe you heard of it. We use Babel as a webpack loader, and it transforms our JSX files to JavaScript, and it also transforms the ES6 features we are using in our code. So these are two examples we use a lot. So for example, arrow functions, as you see in the first example, or the class syntax. So this is really nice. Since the latest version of React, you don't need to use the create class method, but you can use the ES6 class syntax and extend the React component, which is quite nice because then you are writing in pure JavaScript. Yeah. So this is a lot of stuff you have to do. So we decided, okay, let's build a starter kit
from all learnings that we had in this first project. And as you can see, it's available on GitHub. You can clone it, and it gives us it gives you a basic structure of a React app and some features that you don't want to implement every time you get started with a new project. So all the stuff that we've spoken about before, like Reflux, gulp, webpack.
Oh yeah, this is how it looks in a strange resolution. So it's not a fancy UI, it's very simple. You have routing, and you have a fake API call, and you have all the webpack guide stuff, like the technology.
Yeah, we wanted to actually don't want to include any fancy UI stuff. It's just very basic, so you don't have to you don't have to read a lot of stuff before you can get started. It just gives you the structure. So this is the technology stack. Reflux we have explained before, and also did. And the React router does the routing, obviously. Webpack we have also explained. It does the module loading and transforming together with Babel. And gulp, as we said, we want to replace it with Webpack, and we just use it as a building tool for now. And stylus is a CSS preprocessor which lets you write simplified CSS code. It's also very cool. You should check it out. And
also there's also Jest included for testing your components. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's basically it. So do you have any questions? Tiago?
Did you try, before Reflux, you tried your Reflux implementation?
Yeah, so it was
ideas, thoughts.
Half year ago that we did this project, and there was basically Fluxor or Reflux
Okay.
at this time. But Fluxor was kind of weird syntax.
Yeah.
I think they changed it, but so that's why we choose Reflux at this point.
Have you tried React Composer?
Not yet, but it's definitely on our list to replace gulp with hot loading, for example. Yeah. Good idea. Yeah.
How to do
we had a lot of problems to test components that include the React router with Jest, but they have certain workarounds how to test these components. So we are not too happy with it, but it's okay.
have you tried one
for our race application? Do you have any suggestions?
I find the skills to use fun.
Okay.
Here we've done a visualization of
you're just talking about our project.
where those visualizations that were shown in the thumbnail, where those also created by.
No. It's a collection of projects that have a data-driven journalist background. So, and some of them we created, but only few. It's a collection of all projects that were published by newspapers and stuff like that.
How much time did you spend to create?
That's a good question.
Something like this. So it was just a side project, and the learnings that we have from that we put in this starter kit. So that's why we expand this catalog. So it's more for illustrating purposes.
Okay, great. One anything in your
So we
D3.
okay.
So yeah, D3 obviously has some problems with React because it requires the DOM. We're talking about D3, right? So yeah, it has some problems with D3 because you always have to call this get DOM node to get the DOM node and render something into it, right?
can it somehow work with the power DOM? Because accessing the real DOM is not solved for format.
That's right. So we did some small projects with D3 and React together, and it's a bit complicated. I don't know if we have time to explain here now. But what we do is we are rendering stuff with React. So we are rendering DOM nodes with React and just using D3 as a helper for visualization purposes like scales and color stuff and map functions. So we're just using it as a helper, and the DOM nodes get rendered by React. And that also works for remote work.
So you said you've done a few projects like that. Is that correct? To make your visualizations, or
we don't use React in production actually because we are working for newspapers, and it's very we have to develop very fast, and sometimes it's not so much time to make a very clean app and stuff like that. So we normally don't use it in production because it's also some journalists who we work with, they have to look into the code, and if they see something like React, they will get like what the fuck. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks.